Grasslands are a bit of a hard sell. When you're outside the reserve looking in, you see grass, and so that's, probably a bit difficult for people to understand what that's all about. But we have community days and wildflower walks, so we bring people in and show them, and then they get to be in amongst the wildflowers and see the caterpillars and the native pollinators and the butterflies that are all doing their thing on all of these plants, and it starts to make a lot more sense. Iramoo Wildflower Grassland Reserve is in the middle of suburban Melbourne. It is surrounded by houses and urban infrastructure, and it's a remnant native grassland, an ecosystem that once covered about a third of the state of Victoria. With colonisation, there's been a significant reduction, so we're sort of down to maybe about 1 or 2% of those grasslands left. And the ones that do still remain tend to be quite degraded. So Iramoo is a really great example of what this landscape was like a couple of 100 years ago. So the Friends of Iramoo are really helping to restore the grasslands. We've planted tens of thousands of plants out here. In the last 10 years, it's up to almost 100,000 plants. Also, we've got a land manager that does a lot of the site preparation work, so the weed control and that sort of thing. He's also one of our Friends of Iramoo volunteers, so he does both roles.
I was really a maintenance man and more of a builder before I went into the environment. But once I got into the environment, I didn't want to leave it. It was just fantastic to work and see things change and seeing the wildlife come back. I can go home and I'll turn the television on. I'm quite bored with the television, so I say to myself, I could be restoring a hectare today, so I'll come straight out here and start working. When you remove a huge noxious weed from a grassland which is dominating it, like serrated tussock, it's a lot of hard, dedicated work, basically. When COVID hit, being really close, not even, probably not even half a kilometre away from the grasslands, allowed me to go out here and do a lot more spraying at the time, and cleaned up something like 6 hectares, which it was quite tedious. Because we don't boom spray, we dot out every individual plant. So you're looking at 3 months worth of dotting in 6 hectares. It was very daunting, and the best thing to do is don't look up. Just keep your head down and keep spraying. Biodiversity is increased greatly without the tussock. The bird life seems to be greater. I've noticed a big difference in insects as well. I mean, we've got quite a lot of rare species within this grassland already, and we've worked hard to have them here, and we're working hard to keep them. There's a lot of pressure on grasslands because I don't see them as significant, but Iramoo grassland is a significant place for me and for the highly threatened striped legged lizard and our community around us as well. As a young child, I played in these areas, and I don't know, I just feel connected in that way. And seeing so many go under, that's another reason why I'm passionate about grasslands and why I want to see them remain and be protected. Having examples of what was here 200 years ago in suburban Melbourne means that people living locally can actually see and understand this landscape. So connection can be built with the people that live here because they're living right next to it. We're trying to engage younger people and build their passion for grasslands, build their passion for Iramoo and see the amazingness of it so that they can be part of keeping it going.
I was just out riding my bike one day, kind of re-exploring, reconnecting with where I sort of grew up, and I was riding my bike past Iramoo and saw Megan out in the fields, and I was just like, excuse me, like, what are you doing out here? Like, what is this place? And she had told me that every Thursday they had a volunteer day, and it's something that I'd been wanting to do for a while and get into, and just sort of took it as a great opportunity to get onto it. Every week's different. It's going out in the field, it could be weeding, it could be seed collection, it could be propagation of that seed. I'm a tattooer, sort of known for doing Australian natives, particularly grasses. Anyone's been tattooed by me or goes on a date with me, it's like pretty soon hears about like the grasslands, and when I show pictures and videos, they're just blown away. I've brought a client who's now a friend of mine out here when they were going through a pretty rough time, and they really enjoyed it. I think it's pretty easy to be caught up in like the stresses of everyday life, and often not when I sort of come out here, there's a point where I'll try to be quiet, see the winds blow over the grasslands, almost looks like water rippling. Other times I just like close my eyes and just hear the insects, frogs, the birds, and yeah, it's very calming.
We're in a landscape that has been completely transformed in 200 years, and we're working to try and reverse that transformation. But I'm not always going to be here, Rick's not always going to be here, so the legacy has to be passing that on to the people that follow from us and can pick up where we leave off and provide that haven for that diversity of species that live in this grassland.